All praises to Nogi said back again for another one. When intending on bringing this one, but I was listening to some more Israelites teaching, and they was explaining to some Edomites the color matters. And like the Edomites always do, well, God doesn't care about color. And they brought the subject of their first called nigger in Antioch. And then you got those who say it wasn't nigger, it was Niger. So that sparked the thought in my head. So I went to some scriptures and some etymology and other books to see exactly what they called them. Let's go to First Aki from the book of Remembrance, first and second book of Aki, book of Remembrance, chapter 12, begin at verse 39. And it came to pass that one day as Aki was old, set the altar of Nakash in the land of Oma, he was pondering the wonder of Messiah, visiting the people of his seed, his own people, at some future day. He was able to look into the future through the eyes of God. And he turned his mind towards these things. Yahweh drew near. And the vision began to unfold itself before his eyes. What he saw was terrifying to his soul. It grew and became clear before him. And the astonishment, he leaped up and he hid himself up on the ground behind some trees. But the vision persisted before his eyes. And he cried out and covered his face with his hands, and he said, "Oh, Yahweh, what is this awful scene? Why must I endure to behold it?" And the vision stayed before him. Yahweh said, "Do you not need to see the people to whom your record will be revealed?" He saw us. And Aki said, "Yeah, Yahweh, but the vision is hard for me." Yahweh said, "What is it you see?" And Aki said, "The generation of the terrible." And Aki, strong man of God, beheld the full extent of the tragedy of it before the face of God. He was moved upon clear to the center of his bones. He saw the commencing with the impostor of Antioch. That's that false Jesus Christ, the Edomite version, Caesar Borgia. The wicked replaced the vision of the purpose of Messiah with the vision of Simeon had chosen for him. It came to pass that in this way they prayed to Simeon, and they called him the Son of God. Dead Sea Scrolls by Wise, Abag, and Cook, page 169. This reading is a description of the Dead Sea Scrolls of the same statement. And he saw the Messiah would be in this way unknown to the people of the nations. I mean, every nation, except the righteous, talking about Israel, the Negroes. The elect of the Negroes. He's got some Negroes still think Caesar Borgia is the European man. And Simeon would be in his place in the doings and practices of the multitude of the world. And all their terrible acts, they are inspired by Simeon. Simeon is the devil. Would be said to be done in the name of Messiah. Even this lowly meteorite, who was the son of the morning, would call himself the Most High, calling himself a higher. But a higher is the devil. And places throne in the heights of the name of God. That's why he named his name a higher. In this way, great evils were brought unto the family of man. And Aki said, "O my kinsman redeemer and my God, how can such a thing be in the midst of your creation?" And he saw the wicked plundering and destroying and murdering in the name of God. So next time you hear somebody say all these things are done in the name of religion, in the name of God, they ain't the true God. It's the devil. That's why he said they're the false prophet. All the churches in the field of the world. All religions. Who is the one who was filled with only loving kindness? How's it going to be done in his name? And the poor and the righteous of the earth were swept before them in the regions of the earth. Yahweh said, "Behold, when the vision of my son was changed, his image and his vision. And the false vision worshipped, false image. It has become the formation of the great and abominable religion." We found out in the Still Portion, chapter 79. The great and abominable church, great and abominable religions is synonymous with the great European empire. For these wicked, by means of a religion in the vision of Semihizer, the image of Semihizer, white supremacy, have given their power to him. And they magnify his kingdom daily, till it's gone to be what you see before you. And during this time, Aki beheld nations trampling nation. There was violence of warfare among the people of the earth. There were wars that encompassed the entire earth. And it came to pass that Semihizer gained a place in high standing among men by the lying vision he gave unto Messiah, by the hand of the impostor and other false prophets. And Aki saw that in the course of time, Semihizer would become so strong that the tetrarch would rise up and establish dominance over the earth. That's why I said the earth has been given to the hands of the wicked through a lie, a false vision. Dumb the verses, Dr. Discover. Taking over the land of the blacks, the niggers. We're going to get there. Aki saw that Semihizer hated repentance and the law of virtue. That the great and abominable religions did away with these things in the name of God. He said, you ain't got to keep the law no more. You ain't got to keep no commandments. And he saw that these religions spewed out multitudes of people who had no conscience, Nephilim. And they acted wantonly with great cruelty. And their sins multiplied in great abundance upon the earth. In the midst of these terrible things, Aki saw a lad who dwelt upon the promised land. His name was Joseph, which means let him add. Yahweh set the task before this lad. Add to and restore a knowledge of Messiah and the vision of the great God in heaven. So restore his knowledge and restore his image back into the earth. To believe on him as the scriptures say. gave him to bring a record of the people of the land of promise, letting you know we are Americans, we're not Africans. Once again, no disrespect to Africans if you're African, but we're not African. We are the real American. And a clear understanding the Messiah was given him. And Joseph told the people of the land, above all things, they must repent and love Messiah, who abides with all their Kadasha, and who loves and is near all those who do the work of repentance. Acts 13:1. Now there was in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger, and Lucius of Cyrene and Manaen, which had been brought up with Herod, the tetrarch, and Saul. Going to other versions, let you have more insight to what's being said. Going to the TLB version, the Living Bible. Among the prophets and teachers of the church of Antioch were Barnabas and Simeon, also called the Black Man, Lucius from Cyrene, Manaen, the foster brother of King Herod, and Paul. So that you know that it was actually Niger. I ain't finished yet. Complete Jewish Bible. Acts 13:1. And in Antioch, congregation with prophets and teachers. Barnabas, Simeon, known as the Black, Lucius from Cyrene, Manaen, who had been brought up with Herod the governor, and Saul. Easy English Bible. There were some prophets among the group of believers in Antioch. They taught the other believers more about Yahweh. Barnabas and Simeon were two of these men. People also called Simeon Niger. I'm just looking through different versions. This is J.B. Phillips' New Testament. Now there was in the church at Antioch both prophets and teachers. Barnabas, for example, Simeon, surnamed Niger. Lucius the Cyrene, Manaen, the foster brother of Governor Herod and Saul. While they were worshiping Yahweh and fasting, the Holy Spirit spoke to them, saying, "Set Barnabas and Saul apart for me for a task to which I have called them." Surname. A name, title, epithet added to a person's baptismal or Christian name. Above, let's see, surname. Also compare nickname. Nickname was a noun. Mid-15th century Neke name at mid-division of ik name. An ik name, a familiar or diminutive name, especially one given in derision or reproach. Literally. Deuteronomy 28 and 37. And it should be an astonishment and a proverb and a byword. Byword is a noun. Proverb, word, or phrase of used proverbially, the meaning something that has become proverbial, usually in satirical or bad sense. Mumbo. Prompt wearing ancestor and mambo gumbo magician who exercises troubled ancestor spirits. Perhaps is a word in mumbo dumbo or mumbo niambo. It says perhaps a loan word from another Niger Congo language. Niger Congo language. See zombie. So they're always trying to say that we're Africans. That's what they do. That's part of the byword. That's part of the keep us off our land. Saying we come from Africa. When they know we are Americans. We the real Americans. We'll read several versions. Deuteronomy 28:37. And you should become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, whither Yahweh shall lead you. ASV version, it should become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all peoples, whither Yahweh shall lead you away. You become a horror and a proverb, a mere object lesson, and a taunt, a derisive joke. I remember one time when I worked for the probation department, I didn't know what they were saying. Once again, a Mexican who was talking to me nice. I thought he was cool with me. He said, "Man, are you a joke?" I said, what you mean? Now I know what he meant. He knew exactly what he said. Another Mexican, I ain't trying to cause no problem. I'm just saying the truth. Who said who? Because niggers did stuff too. Them niggas. But Mexicans did too. I had a Mexican supervisor named Ortiz. He was trying to tell me that how long I should mourn after one of my uncles died. Well, he was my dad's good friend named Louis. And I said, "Man, how you can tell me how long I can mourn?" He said, "You're just too nice." He called me stupid, but they're just different words. Now I got etymology on my side now. Should never gave this niggas etymology. And you become a horror. And of course, the Europeans was racist. But they got the niggas and the wetbacks to do their dirty work. And boy, did they do it. And you'll become a horror and a proverb, a mere object lesson, and a taunt, a derisive joke among the people to which Yahweh drives you. That's amplified. AMPC, and you should become an amazement and a proverb and a byword among all the peoples in which Yahweh will lead you. Why? How did this happen? I just read it to you. This is part of Satan's campaign against the true Israelites. What they say in the seal portion, chapter 65. And the true saints of God were persecuted by the Romans and those of the Christian faith in those nations they confederate with. Paraphrase. Aki saw this and horrified. BRG, and you should become an astonishment, a proverb and a byword among all nations, whether it shall lead you. CSB, you become an object of horror, scorn, and ridicule among all the peoples where Yahweh will drive you. You become a horror fit only for the use of proverbs and insults by all the nations where Yahweh drives you. And you'll be so devastated as to become a proverb and a laughing stock among all the people which it said Adonai will drive you. That's CEB verse. But he didn't leave us there though. He said he's gonna make them a laughing stock. Isaiah 65, for my chosen to use in their curses. Land. Sovereigns. Of course, I'm an American Israelite from the house of Joseph and the tribe of Ephraim with power of Satan in you too. Isaiah 65:15, New Living Translation. Your name will be a curse word among my people. Pale face, mother. For the sovereign Yahweh will destroy you. He'll call his true servants by another name. Judgments and promises. Isaiah 65:14 through 16. My servants will shout for joy. Joy. It's joy to be. With a glad heart. But you will cry out with heavy heart. And with a broken spirit. You will leave behind your name as a curse for my chosen. Source, Oxford English Dictionary. Nigger is a noun, an adjective. A dark-skinned person of any origin, wherever they're at. In early United States use, usually in reference to American Indians, usually offensive. What is the definition of an African American? A person who is no longer living and supporting his or her life blood purpose with earth. There are people to use or exploit their life force in the society. People who are refugees or exiled from their home soil. People living disconnected from serving their life purpose, parasites. A person who lives in artificial forms of life expression, fulfilling the joy of living. I'm gonna be fair with you now. I called her Ortiz. Yeah, he was known as a racist. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, if I judge it right or wrong, but we had another supervisor named Ramos. He used to call them on their bull crap. He didn't really treat me like that. A person who lives in artificial forms of life expression, fulfilling the joy of living. A person who lives in captivity without life purpose as freedom, instead of self-determination towards the natural expression of the earth, life, blood purpose as being free. Isaiah 14 through 16. My servants will shout for joy with a glad heart, but you will cry out with a heavy heart and wail with a broken spirit. You will leave behind your name as a curse for my chosen ones. And Yahweh God will slay you. But to his servants he will give another name. Whoever invokes a blessing in the land will do so by the God of truth. And whoever takes an oath in the land will swear by the God of truth. For the former troubles will be forgotten, hidden from my sight. Let's go back to etymology. We found out that nigger, Indian, African American. Let's go to revealing American dark skin past again to find out about Indian. Now we find out these are all people they call Negro. Dark-skinned people of the Americas, page 51 to our stop. In any case, between the years of 1492 and 1501, at least 3,000 Native Americans were known to be shipped to Europe, with a likely total being possibly double that. Most were sent to the Seville area, where they seem to show up as in the slave market as Negro. What most people don't realize is Negro was the terminology that was used to describe the indigenous people of the Americas. Up until the 17th century, terminologies that were used to describe people were of a non-racial origin because one's appearance as a means of identification and specification was more significant than the racial ideology created by Walter Plecker. You can just see an American Israelite who they call Negro and say, yeah, that's a quote-unquote Negro. Anyone with a dark complexion, regardless of their country of origin, was called Negro. That's because the Negroes were spread all over the world. And a Negro is not African. Because all the dark-skinned people, I'm coming back there, but let's go to Ham. Because a lot of people sent to the diaspora all over the world. Matter of fact, before Adam left America, the book remembers our ancient grandmothers tell us he was a Negro, using term, and his children was known as indigenous people, wherever they spread themselves. The book remembers our ancient grandmothers, chapter 1, verse 99. That's why Ham are called M-O-Rs. Hamites. Israelites are called M-U-Rs, aka the lost house of Israel, lost tribes of Israel. Hellenists, page 223. Jews who made Greek their tongue and would have often adopted Greek ideas, Alpha and Omegas, and all these things, fraternities, sororities, Freemason, and practices Acts 6:1 and 9 and 29. That's why I said neither Jew nor Greek. He's talking about they all Israelites, whatever they believe. But they got to come back to the knowledge of the Father in the Messiah. Ham, page 213. Ham, perhaps hot. The youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood. One of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. Genesis 10, 6 through 20. That's why they try to call their body Ham, because Ham belong in Africa. That's why they try to say anti-Semitic. We find that's a lie too, because we are Semitic. The one that they call Negroes. Their lie has been discovered. Until the 17th century, terminology that were used to describe people were of non-racial origin, because one's appearance as a means of identification and specification. It's called description. Was more significant than racial ideology. Anyone with a dark complexion, regardless of their country of origin, was called Negro. Along with the misnomer Indian. You got people like Dan Calloway trying to classify you as Indians. That's misnomer. Because your pride, you jumping all over it, eating it up like pancakes with extra syrup. Still trying to take you off your land as a slave. Misnomers are now. Mid-15th century, in law, an error in a name. In law. They said they got in law that you can classify as Indians. They did it on purpose too. Like Christopher Columbus said. They have a European man made a joke about it. He said, "What are you people?" They probably told me Israelites. He said, "Nah, you're Indians." Misnomer and noun. Mid-15th century, in law, an error in a name. Mistaken identification of an accused or convicted person. Guess what the $5 Indians did? They paid to be convicted. So the truth is out. They're guilty too. Put their ass in jail. They're doing all in the name of being an Indian. Mid-15th century, in law, an error in a name. Mistaken identification of accused or convicted person. Anglo-French, Old French misnomer, to misname wrongly name. Wrongly. Meaning act of applying a wrong name or designation is from 1630s. Anyone, okay, let's go where I left off. Page 52. And along with the misnomer Indian, Negro was also used to define the indigenous people. We make a huge mistake when we apply 21st century sensibilities to terminologies that were created in the past. There were many terms in many different languages that were utilized to define the people of color here in the United States. They did it on purpose. That's part of their confederacy against you. Crafty counsel. And many times these terms' meanings changed over time. Some terms like Pardo, Loro, Preto, and Merino, just to mention a few, were all terms to define people of the dark complexion that have since become obsolete. No, it hasn't. Even the terminology brown, as used to define people, is not used in the same manner it was used in the 1660s. In actual practice, English brown was originally very dark color, like they described in the books of remembrance. Adam, Moses, all of the forefathers, Negro. Mulatto is another terminology that started out meaning the mixture of Native Americans and Africans, which eventually became to mean the mixture of whites and blacks. It's interesting to note here that the English terminology black became to be used in an all-encompassing way to describe all the shades of people of color. What is also fascinating is how it has been concealed that the indigenous people of the Americas were once considered to be Negroes, that they were the first slaves utilized in the Americas. And their transportation to Spain began what was originally termed the African slave trade, but since it's been properly named the transatlantic slave trade. Now I'm going to read the Book of Remembrance of Ancient Grandmothers. This disproved that they were calling you nigger. The Most High said you're going to be yoke and a byword. You're going to be offense. Everything will be offensive. They're trying to clown you all the time. But the Most High said, now I'm going to kill them for doing it. But I'm going to call you by another name. An honorable name. If my people will call upon my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face, then will I hear them from heaven. And he who hears a nigger in the African man color. Then I'll forgive their sin, I'll heal their land. That's why he has an elect that knows what we call by his name. Like I told you, I'm an American Israelite from the house of Joseph and the tribe of Ephraim. Romans 1 and 99. And it came to pass that I sat pondering these things. And I can see that the children of Yasakar and Kava, Adam and Eve's original name, were the very first indigenous people wherever they spread themselves. And they arrived at their destinations. See, started out in America and it was all Negro. National Geographic tell you that Adam was a black man, a Negro. That's your term, yeah, but an Israelite. Or at this time, a Yashraelite. Because Israel was yet in his loins. Nigger, etymology online dictionary. Nigger is a noun. 1786, earlier Neger, N-E-G-E-R. 1568, Scottish and Northern England dialect, Neger, N-E-G-A-R and N-E-G-U-R. From French, negre, N-E-G-R-E. From Spanish, negro, see negro. From the earliest usage, it was the term that carries with it all the obliquity, I can only get it right. Obliquoy, and contempt and rejection, which whites have inflicted on blacks. Cited in Goers, 1965, probably Harold or Isaacs, but as blacks, African inferiority. See how they was all saying African, they know better than that. Was at one time near universal assumption in English-speaking lands. I just told you that the people they call blacks, the ones they call Negroes, don't come from Africa. That's Ham's people. We're the offspring of Shem. Near universal assumption of English-speaking lands. The word, in some cases, could be used without deliberate insult. More sympathetic writers, late 18th century, early 19th century, seem to have used black, which is a noun. And after the American Civil War, oh, there you go, we note that they're guilty posthumously for over 150 years ago. The American Civil War. After the American Civil War, colored person. Nigger is more English informed than Negro. Was formerly in some instance still is used without intent. But its use is now confined to colloquial, and illiterate speech, in which it generally conveys more or less of contempt. Century Dictionary, 1895. Told you about that time I never did crime, but I was a hustler in the sense that I was ambitious. I was always trying to make money. So I went out and I was with a white girl because I went out to this temp agency. They sent us out. And we was in Orange County. And we went to a bar because we were trying to sell t-shirts. And I went in the bar, I said, "Damn, I don't want to be in there." But I just come and walk in, and she went in there. He said, "Look at the girl and the nigger." Goes on to say, "You're a fool, nigger. The worst day works Pa ever did was to buy you," said Scarlett slowly. There she thought, "I've said nigger." And mother would like that like that at all. And mother wouldn't like that at all. Margaret Mitchell, Gone with the Wind, 1936. It was also applied in English colonists. It was also applied by English colonists to the dark-skinned native people of India, Australia, and Polynesia. One hears to the contemptuous term nigger still applied to natives by those who should know better, especially by use just come from home and somewhat intoxicated by sudden power. Say once they get drunk, then they show their ass. The liquor get them courage. Samuel Smith, India Revisited, in the Contemporary Review, July 1886. The reclamation of the word as a neutral or positive term in Black culture, not universally regarded as a worthwhile enterprise, often with a struggle of soul or style. This tested first in the U.S. South, later 1968 in the northern urban-based Black Power movement. The variant nigger, with the A on it, attested from 1827 as nigger, Niggah. From 1835 is found universally in situations where blacks use the word, also compare Negro. For when a town black has called a country black, equally black with himself, a damn black plantation nigger, in quotations. You may know that he has been terribly provoked, has now ejected his last drop of gall in the most contemptuous epithet. That's part of, you can also see that Most High said, you're in the gall of bitterness. The great apostrophe. Apostrophe. The pamphlet here, volume 28, number LVI, 1827. Using combinations such as nigger brown. Since 1840s for variant dark brown or black hues or objects. Euphemistic substitutions such as Zulu getting appear in these census since 1917. Brazil nuts were called nigger toes. By 1896, nigger stick, prison guard's baton, is attested by 1971 to work like a nigger. Work very hard, but it's by 1836. Slang phrase nigger in the woodpile. A concealed motive or known factors affecting a situation in an adverse way. You know what he's talking about, top line. OED is attested by 1800s. Thornton's American Glossary, 1912, defines it as a mode of accounting for this disappearance of few, hence an unsolved mystery. Nigger heaven. The top gallery in a segregated theater. First attested in 1878 in reference to Troy, New York, nigger shooter, slingshot. By 1876. Darky is a noun. Also darky, colloquial for a black person, a Negro. Now offensive. 1775 from dark, adjective, wide, related darkies. Jake thought how strange it was to hear the Englishman say darky without being offended. Back home, he would have been spoiling for a fight. Nowadays, people don't care about what you call them. Just don't call them Israelites. That'll cause a fight, even from darkies. Call them Christians, there we are. They would rather hear nigger than darky. For he knew that when a Yankee said nigger, he meant hatred for Negroes. Whereas when he said darky, he meant friendly contempt. Claude McKay, Home to Harlem, 1928. Niggerdom. That's what what's the comedian? He said, won't be no niggerdom in here. Negroes collectively. See, nigger plus dumb. Nigger is a noun. Also, nigger with the H. By 1925, representing Southern U.S. pronunciation of nigger. Niggerhead is a noun. From nigger plus head, now a term used formally in the U.S. of various dark, more or less globular things such as cheap tobacco. 1843, protruding root mass of a swamp, a type of cactus. 1877, and the black-eyed Susan. 1893, variant Negro head is attested from 1781. Nigra is a noun, adjective. By 1944, American English reflecting as white Southern U.S. pronunciation of Negro. But it was held to be a compromise made by those whites who had learned not to say nigger, but could not bring themselves to say Negro. It was thus deemed, in the word of a 1960 slang dictionary, even more derogatory than nigger. Nig is a noun. Since 1300, stingy person, which is connected to nigger, that's in the Apocrypha. As an abbreviated from form of nigger, the word is attested by century 1832 in American English. In the Jim Crow song, it is noted in the 1879 British book on colonial household management as a term too often applied to the Indian natives. So this is another etymology word telling you that the term nigger and Indians apply to those they call natives, the Americans. A nigger nog is a noun, foolish person. 1953 OED suggests that the earlier can't slang nigger nog, a very silly fellow. 1700s compare Australian and the dialectical nig nog, fool. 1832, the word turns up in various apparently unrelated contexts. In late 19th century, early 20th century, Wright's Dictionary of Obsolete and Provincial Words, 1886, has nig nog as a verb for to fuck. Man, why is etymology using all these words like motherfucking and stuff like that? If it's so wrong. And motherfucking son of a bitch and stuff like that. And they use it for educational purposes. It also was the name of a fictitious patent medicine that cures all nervous ailments, etc., in a humor story by Edgar Wallace, originally published in 1923 as a term of abuse for a dark-skinned person. By 1959, a shortened and duplicated form of nigger, a nignog. Bad. Since 1300, inadequate, unsatisfactory, worthless, unfortunate. Late 14th century, wicked, evil, vicious, counterfeit. That's the name the Doctrine and Covenants called, or the Book of Remembrance calls the devil. Bad. Evil was more common until 1700. See, they're the counterfeit though. To defile. Negro is a noun. 1550s, member of a black-skinned race of Africa. Now, I just disputed that through the Bible dictionary. See, they trying to put everybody in Africa. That's intentional. From Spanish or Portuguese, Negro, black. From Latin, nigrum, nominative nigger, N-I-G-R. N-I-G-E-R. Black, dark, sable, dusky. Applied to the night sky, a storm, the complexion. Most sides say he coming in a storm, all right. Figurative, gloomy, unlucky, bad, wicked. For Negro. According to Watkins, perhaps pi, N-E-K-W-T, night. The Latin word was applied to black people of Africa, but the usual term was Ethiops and Afar. As an adjective from 1590s, use with a capital N. Became general early 20th century. Example 1930 in New York Times style book in reference to U.S. citizens of African descent. Because it was perceived association with white imposed attitudes and roles, the word was outed late 1960 in the sense by black. All mean the same thing. And we're not African. They told you that by necessity. Black people, you've been conned. You've been duped. She even told us you need to claim who you really are, the Americans. That's what the Vatican told you by necessity. Through their Roman Catholic Pope prior to turning. Professor Booker T. Washington being politely interrogated as to whether Negroes ought to be called Negroes or members of a colored race. He replied that it has long been his own practice to write and speak of members of his own race as Negroes. We're using the term Negro as a race designation to imply the capital N, Harper Weekly, June 2nd, 1906, meaning African American vernacular. Oh, I thought they came from Africa. How did they come to African American now? I know. Oh, Joseph Jackson. I dubbed they part of the Rainbow Coalition of Africa America. Meaning African American vernacular, the English language as spokesperson, spoken by U.S. blacks. It's from 1704. French nigger is in 16th century, borrowing from Spanish negro, Old English word for Moor, M-O-O-R, and blackamoor. Well, that's Africans. Talked about in the One World Terrarian, the MURs are also called the Lost Tribal House of Israel. The blackamoors are employed by Rome. And that's who Doctrine and Discovery is against, the MUR, who once ruled the world. Now we're ruling again, being our right capacity. American Israelites. A Middle English word for Ethiopian, perhaps also a Negro generally, was blue man, blue man. African is a noun. Old English Africans, plural, native or inhabitant of Africa. So why are you trying to say that us being here in America ain't never been to Africa? How are we Africans? And we didn't come from Africa. I read to you that we came from America. And our forefather Adam was an American. And all his children left America and went to Africa and all the rest of places around the world. And then we went to slavery, and then they shipped us everywhere around the world. But we never came from Africa. Once again, I'm not putting down Africans. I'm just not an African. Just like you over and tell them that they're American, they'll get offended. Because they don't come, many of them don't come from America. Only our people who are Israelites from Shem are really Americans that's in Africa. That's what the Most High told them, tell our people to come back to America for what's coming on the earth. It said, from Africa, see Africa, used of white residents of Africa from 1815. Used of black residents of the U.S. Right? See, if you're a U.S. United States citizen, they treating you like an African. You watch the movie Boys in the Hood. When Trey got into a fight with the dude in the classroom, he said, "You black African booty scratcher." Then Trey popped him upside the head with the stick. The teacher used, to teach our lesson. When especially meant one brought from Africa. And sometimes was contracted to a native-born Negro, as adjective by 1560 pertaining to Africa, or Africans. Old English had Africans from 1722 as of or pertaining to black Americans. I just read to you, and I'll read to you again. From Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. Ham. And we're not Hamites. Page 213, Ham, perhaps hot. The youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitors of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. And that's who Esau and Japheth mixed with. That's why I said you should not, a Canaanite should not come to the assembly of God. He said, don't marry him either. Film noir is a noun. 1958 from French, literally black film. From noir, 12th century, from Latin nigger, Niger, see Negro. Beta noir is a noun. Person or thing regarded with special aversion. 1844 from French bête noire, literally the black beast. For beta, see beast. Noir is from the Latin nigger, see Negro. Quadrant is a noun. By 1781, an alteration by influence of words in quadra, or quarter sun, or quarter run. 1707, offspring of a white and a mulatto. From Spanish, culturon. I even hear Mexicans use that word. What's up, culturon? They really saying a white and a mulatto. You chiefly of the offspring of a European and a mestizo. Literally, one who has a 4th Negro blood, and from quarto, 4th, from Latin quartus, the fourth part, was related to quattro, 4, and that's why we trying to use 4 on me. I ain't got no white blood in me, no European blood in me. You can't claim me. Most High's word proves I'm not that. If I wouldn't, he wouldn't be able to get his mysteries. I'm from the bloodline of David. That's how I'm able to get this. That's why he chose me. He would never woke me up to do what I'm doing if I was European, if I was a Edomite. He'd have kept me silly, stupid. If I was an Edomite, he'd never call me to do this. So stop lying. I'm glad the Most High allowed me to do this. Because I didn't even know, I really didn't really know about that word. Quarterone. I heard him say it though. And I bet you they didn't know they had Negro blood in them. Offspring of a European mestizo. Literally one who has a fourth Negro blood, from quarto fourth, from Latin quartus, the fourth part, which related to quatuor, four. So called because I told you they was trying to pull it on you. But Most High said, that's some bullshit. I'm about to give you some etymology to put on your ass. So called because he or she has 1/4 African blood. They call you African now too. So you can't be an American. Quarteroon. There also was some use in 19th century of quarteroon from Spanish quintorium. This is etymology online dictionary. I didn't make this up. One who is fifth of descendant from a Negro. One who has 1/16 Negro blood. OED lists quartor cased as an Australian and New Zealand term for a person whose ancestry is 1/4 Aboriginal or Maori and 3/4 white. 1948. So you're more white than you are a Negro. I mean, you're Edomite. Mama's a noun. 1810, American English variant of mama. Example, apparently first used in the South with a racial context as a biker's girlfriend, a female passenger from 1950s. An old Negro woman is called mama, which is a broad pronunciation of mama. And the girl, Missy, I once happened to call a young Negro wench mama. Me be no mama, says she. Me had no children yet. John Lambert travels. See, y'all always trying to clown. Pale faced mother. John Lambert travels through the lower Canada and United States of North America in the years of 1806, 1807, and 1808, London, 1810. Terceroon is a noun, offspring of a white and mulatto. 1760s. Terceron, from Spanish, terceron, from tercero, a third person. From tercero, third. From Latin, terrus, a third. From root of trees, three, C3. So-called from being third, a descendant from a Negro. Fandango is a noun. Mid-18th century lively Spanish dance. LOD says alleged to be of Negro origin, perhaps related to fado. Watkins traces both to Latin fari to speak. Fido is lovely, but not lively. So perhaps the link, if any, is thematic. By extension, in American English, any noise is entertainment. Auntie. 1787, also auntie, familiar diminutive form of aunt. This also was a form of kindly address to an older woman, to whom one is not related, originally in the southern U.S., elderly slave women. The Negro no longer submits with grace to be called uncle or auntie, as a your Harper's Magazine, October 1883. Whitey is a noun. White person, person of European descent. 1828, also whitey, from white adjective plus y and y, 3, earlier as an adjective. And whitey brown, it was an 19th century descriptive color name. You describe, among other things, mulatto skin. Negro troops doing provost duty in Norfolk, keeping the white people in order. On a visit to Norfolk, one can see white Southerners arrested for sundry misdemeanors, working on public streets under Negro guards. It's quite a change to see. In Norfolk, Negroes forcing white men to work. Well, you better get used to it. What's the kingdom of God? Isaiah 14 and 42, 14 and 2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were. They shall rule over their oppressors. It's quite a change to see in Norfolk, Negroes forcing white men to work. At the point of the bayonet calling out to them, no loafing there, no loafing there, move quicker, sir. Hurry up, there, old whitey. And similar orders. Tables turned, Diary of Lieutenants, S. Millett Thompson, 13th New Hampshire Volunteer Regiment, U.S. Army, January 25, 1864. Diary published in 1888 by Houghton Mifflin and Company. Let's go to the World War II. Written by James W. Lee. See, knowledge is power. Now we find out the Moors are the Africans, not the Americans. Talking about the MOR. Let's go to Webster first for Moor. Moor is a noun. M-O-O-R. M-O-O-R is a noun. Dark, obscure, a native of the northern coast of Africa. So how can you be a native of America? You can't. And who are you called by? Called by the Romans from the color of the people, Mauritania. The dark country of a dark complexion people. The same country is now called Morocco, Tunis, Algiers, etc. We back to page 31. The MORs come from the Orient, the Far East. What's also interesting is that the Oriental means Western scholar who studies Islam, according to the book Orientalism by Edward Said. Islam comes from the Orient. Let me find something real fast for you. Let me show you something. These are people they call tetrarchs. Don't sound like none of the descriptions with nobody called Negro, do it? I show that for a reason. Come with the one on my right, the right side right here. Tetrarchs. Remember that. I said that for a reason. I'm gonna show you when I get there. Back to 31. Additionally, if you read subsection 4 of this Delaware law, it will tell you that the Lenape Indians were formerly known as MORs. The Lenape were Delaware MURs/MORs originally. No, it couldn't be originally. That just means they were mixed together. You one or the other. And the MURs is the real true people. How you know that? Because that's the ones they took because that they try to use dumb the verses on. However, the word Lenape means we the people. The preamble of the U Constitution for the United States of America are true people. The one that Constitution Adam created. Lenape means serpent, dragon, naga, nigger. Likewise, Indian names like Sioux. So I wasn't gonna read, but I gotta read it. Because he told you don't believe nothing that you read, you gotta study, show yourself approved. Even in this book, he said that in so many words. Page 1. The fake history has been called the ancient architecture as Moorish revival. MORISH revival. See, that's fake history. Or Morocque and Islamic. And also colonial. Medieval, neoclassical, Baroque, Romanesque, Gothic, Boys Art, Eclectic, Tudor, Renaissance, Palladian, Richardsonian, Romanesque, Chicago School, or Victorian, and labeled them as fashionable styles to hide the old and true function of the columns. Meaning, if you call somebody a MOR, that's a way to hide the true origin of the MUR. And the MORs, most of them probably are MURs, just don't know it. And the ones that do know it, they're working for wrong. And label them as fashionable styles to hide the old and true function of its columns, arched openings, pinnacles, rosewood windows, naves ornaments with iron columns, towers, and domes. In addition to having cut the ends of the pinnacles in the photographs or add crosses that did not exist before. Lenape means, back to page 31, means serpent, dragon, naga, nigger. Likewise, Indian names like Sioux and Dakota also mean serpent or dragon, because the MURs/Indians, why don't say nothing about MORs? because the MBR/Indians named themselves after the serpent wisdom that they worshiped when the MBRs ruled the world. Well, I thought the MORs ruled the world. You can't have both of them ruling. They told you that that's fake history. Indians named themselves after the serpent wisdom that they worshiped when the MBRs ruled the world. But where does Islam come from? Did it come from Mecca, California, Medina, Indiana, Mecca, Indiana, Morocco, Indiana? They come from Sufism, Sophia, which was a science that comes from India. Do all religions come from India superior in the Americas? He said, all that is fake history. Now, in the eyes of the hijacked Hebrew Templars, aka the Holy Roman Empire, the Habsburg dynasty, the Holy Land, was in possession of the infidels, aka Israelite Moors, MUR. Therefore, they were authorized via the Dum Verses of 1452 to take Israelite Jerusalem, the Americas Granda, away from the MURs, who are Saracens. Also read the Dum Verses, which authorized the Templar Knights of Christ, the conquerors, the Saracens and pagans, take their possessions and subject them to perpetual servitude, slavery. This papal bull, and none of them were ever rescinded until I read about it. I read it to you. Which the current problem that the MURs in Americas face. As Saracens, who are also the Red Ones, also known as the Lost Tribe of Israel. So we the Lost Tribe of Israel and we Israelites, how can we be Muslims or Islam? We're not. That's the MOR. This papal bull was issued against the MURs. Don't say nothing about the MOR. As Saracens. Issued against the lost tribes of Israel. That's what Most High said. I call not except the lost sheep of the house of Israel to wake them up. The Negroes, as you call it. The Most High said we got to be called by his name. In order to take our Israelite Jerusalem away from us, which was Granada. It's not about trying to be slick. I just corrected it. If the MURs is the one that had them the verses against it, why I'm going to say MOR? And the MURs is also called the Lost Sheep of the House of Israel. Why am I called Muslim Jerusalem? Because it ain't. It's Israelites. Also, to go to page 19. That's why I showed you the European-looking people. It says, page 19, from the Chronicles of Border Warfare by Alexander Scott Withers. Tartarian Native Americans are considered Hebrew Israelites. Now, I just showed you what Tartarians look like, don't it? And the word of God includes, so like, and even the other things, information show that the Negroes are the American Israelites. So how did white people become Israelites? That's why I ain't gonna use the word Tartarian, especially if they look like that. Native Americans are considered Hebrew Israelites, the ones they call Negroes. It's very possible that the true Hebrew Israelites, they say Scythians and Tartarians, I ain't gonna use that, based on older maps and reference when the Hebrew Israelites encompasses all of Russia, parts of Europe, and Asia. Not black either. Hebrew Israelites. Seems like this is an open secret within a Native American community. More than one nation in America had Hebrew Israelites extraction. Native Americans were trafficked to other parts of the globe, including China. Native Americans resemble the American Israelites, because we are the American Israelites. And Samoan people. Continent of Brazil was peopled by Carthaginians and Israelites. Israelites meaning people of the north. Let me look at the word Scythians. The north coast of Herodotus is probably responsible for Scythian insanity. Race of one-eyed people in North Europe. No, see, they ain't us. See, they lying again. Caucasus. See, they lying. See, they said the Europeans always putting their images in our law, in our books. Knowledge allows you to discredit that. Native American descendants were possessed of an extraordinary divine spirit, for which they foretold future events called prophets and seers. And that this transmitted to their offspring, provided they obeyed the sacred laws annexed to it. To honor your father and your mother, and your days may be long, but the land is how you God is giving. And plus, you'll have the gift. By keeping the commandments. It said history is agreed upon. The NWO historians tell us, and written by the victors. That's why they lie about everything. They're putting their books on sides. I'm on telling them all. You'll make yourself naked by telling your lies when I bring out more information a little later in books to prove your lies. And you can't take that out the books after that. You made yourself naked again. Page 77. Man, a monthly record of anthropological science. Original article with plate D. Stewart, Physical Anthropology. Negro skeletal remains from Indian sites in the West Indies. By T.D. Stewart, Division of Physical Anthropology. United States National Museum, Washington, D.C. The recent paper in this journal by Baxton, Trevor, and Julie, Man, 1988, Salaki. Yeah, 1938, Salaki, and 1947. Implies that a underformed Negroid physical type inhabited the Virgin Island in pre-Columbian time. Not only in this implication contrary to the previously accepted finding for the Attilian area, as will be shown later, but it also falls to give adequate consideration to the possibility of them skeletal remains representing intrusive Negro burials. The mere presence of skeletons in a sand or shell mound of Indian origin, lacking careful stratigraphic records, is not certain evidence of primary association with the accompanying artifacts. Moreover, I venture to say that few physical anthropologists familiar with American Indian skulls will mistake for Indians those illustrated by Baxter, Trevor, and Julian. Indeed, most physical anthropologists would probably be less conservative and say Negro instead of Negroid. The American Negro, or Indian, or MUR, is the oldest man on Earth. The oldest chromosome on Earth was found in the man from South Carolina, is unrelated to African lineages. Page 78, Mexico, we already found out that's the land of the blacks, the MORs, the Negroes. Not the white Europeans. Mexico is the original land of the American Negro, who is the Olmec, the Aztec, Toltec, etc. in North America. He is the Algonquin, Choctaw, Washita, Pequot, Wampanoag, Lenape, and Arcos, etc. The Spanish and the Portuguese captured and sold what they called Negro de Terra into European slave markets. The Dutch and English didn't even enter Africa until the 1700s. Yet slavery started in 1492. Columbus was a Portuguese Moor named Salvator Ferdinand Zarco. And many of the European monarchs in Europe were also Negroes who came to America as they were being pushed out of Europe by white European Catholics. The conquistadors were sent to the West Indies to destroy the kingdom of the blacks, the niggers. And reduced them to servitude and slavery. It was known as Dum Diversis, the doctrine of discovery. And the Inquisition gave Catholics kingdoms the right to murder, rape, enslave, and torture all those not under the authority of the Vatican and the Pope. America is the old world. And Columbus called his first voyage the last crusade to conquer the holy lands of Mexico and Peru, which means Per Heru, or House of Heru, or Jerusalem, which became Jerusalem. It's also known as the navel of the world. Titatucan means city of Tahuti or Thot or Tenochtitlan, which became Mexico City, means city of Enoch. Mexico is named for Moses, or Mexi, like Moshe. The Old Testament contains volcanoes, corns, bear, tobacco, all which are native to America. Utah is Yehuda. It contains the city of Moab. The Great Salt Lake is the Dead Sea. There are more pyramids and megalithic structures in the Americas than anywhere else, including the Nile. That's the Mississippi River, the Nile Valley. The NWO tells the story backwards. The Negro is the Indian or copper-colored indigenous people of the Americas, who is actually a redskin. Many think black people are black, yet there are many shades of copper, which is the color of the earth. If you look in old dictionaries, you'll see that nigger and Indian, we saw that. I read it to you. Were synonyms, and the color is simply short for copper color. Why do you think they keep changing our titles or from India to Negro to colored to African American? The MUR Negro is the most copied man on the earth. Once again, I just proved it to you intelligently.